As reported, Ukrainians launched another surprising incursion through the border. This is putting extra pressure on the Russian reserves and could force them into an overreaction that can lead to even more serious problems for them and result in an operational level penetration and crisis, according to Euromaidan Press media outlet. Ukraine has launched a new incursion, opening a new chapter of its border raids with the clear goal to open a fresh front, stretch Russian defenses even further, and exploit vulnerabilities, especially as Russian forces remain engaged with the earlier Ukrainian operations in the Belgorod and the initial Kursk assault. The Ukrainian plan incorporates creating multiple simultaneous threats along the border and strategically prevents the Russians from focusing on their Donbas summer campaign by baiting them into costly defensive operations in Kursk. In tandem, Ukrainian forces shelled Tyotkino and engaged in a battle near the railway station, while Ukrainian aviation destroyed a bridge near the village of Zvannoe to isolate the Russian defenders. These actions disrupted Russian mobility and communications, laying the groundwork for the main effort. Euromaidan Press says, towards Tyotkino, Ukrainians launched a sophisticated maneuver aiming to isolate Russian forward positions which were already vulnerable due to their exposure on three sides. A pontoon crossing was set up and engineering units breached Russian fortifications successfully. This initial push appeared to be a reconnaissance-in-force, exposing Russian firing positions for targeting by Ukrainian FPV drones, which now dominate the area, attacking Russian logistics. The Ukrainian decision to evacuate border settlements signals plans for more intense fighting, likely involving more substantial forces, and suggests that Ukraine is preparing to hold and expand its gains in the area. Euromaidan Press reports. As Russian positions in Tyotkino are essentially surrounded from the start, if the Russians stubbornly and at all costs try to hold them and then, in the event of a loss, attempt to retake them just as stubbornly, the Russian army could suffer heavy losses. Russian analysts suggest that this may not be the Ukrainians' main offensive, but rather a diversion aimed at drawing off Russian operational reserves and conducting their main strike in a completely different direction. As Ukrainian forces that withdrew earlier from the first Kursk incursion were not destroyed, but are still combat effective, they can now be reinserted into action, giving Ukraine the initiative. This would extend even more pressure over the Russian command to throw its forces in a counterattack, which would be doomed to end in disaster with huge losses due to the terrain and Ukrainian drone dominance. According to Euromaidan Press, overall, the newest incursion into Kursk is not an isolated action, but a deliberate continuation of Ukraine's border pressure campaign. Combined with the earlier Belgorod operation, it represents a clear attempt to overstretch Russian military capacity, disrupt reinforcements to eastern Ukraine, and deny the Russian command any breathing room.
Forest fires that have been raging in Russia's Transbaikalia region for several days now have reached the airport in the city of Chita. For this reason, flights have been suspended, Telegram channels reported. Overall, the fires that broke out in 11 locations covered an area of 163,000 hectares. The incident reportedly occurred due to the negligence of one of local residents. Some 1,500 firefighters and 170 special equipment were involved in extinguishing the fire. It is said that 6 settlements are under threat due to fire. There is no information about casualties.
Все дальше и дальше уезжаем от Забайкальца. Все больше и больше дыма, все ближе и ближе к Смоленке.
Ветер, конечно.
такая вот видимость. Машины даже не видно. Едем на аварийках с включенными фарами. Дышать нечем, уже просто вообще задыхаемся. Ждем вас. Было очень много друзей набирают, мы уносим сюда в поле. Приезжайте.
Дышать нечем, все в дыму. Он где-то вот идет. Все горит. Пипец. Вообще жесть.
Все дальше и дальше уезжаем от Забайкальца. Все больше и больше дыма, все ближе и ближе к Смоленке. Верховой идет по маленьким соснам. Вот дорога на ту сторону идет.